Here's how you play a C chord on the ukulele. You take your third finger in the left hand and place it on the third fret of the high string. So the strings are G, C, E, A. So on the A string, on the third fret, 1, 2, 3, place your finger directly by the fret wire. Play open strings below it and listen for a nice tone out of that high note, and there is your C chord. To play a C7 chord on the ukulele, play the first fret of the high string with open strings below it. A C chord is a third fret, then a C major 7, it's the second fret. A C7 is the first fret. To play a C minor chord on the ukulele, place your first finger across the third fret as a bar, mainly 3 strings, the top 3 strings. Now you can leave the 4th string open with a high G tuning, or you place your third finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string. That's C minor. Now this is a movable shape. I could move it down 1 fret and get B minor, another fret, B flat. Whatever the note name is of the high string that you're holding, or the 4th string, that names the chord. D minor would be the 5th fret. So this is a great movable shape. The trick is getting the bar chord on the top 3 strings. Make sure your finger is parallel, not back like this, but parallel, right next to the fret wire so that the higher string is getting good coverage. I like to kind of lean into the fret and push the pressure towards the bridge. That way, instead of pulling back, you push forward. Really do the note check. Keeping the thumb low behind the neck is very important here. Not up too high, it's going to be harder to bar and you might get a muffled sound. Having the thumb back is really going to see how it opens up and rounds the fingers, allows that tip joint to lay really flat across the 3 strings. C minor. To play a D chord on the ukulele, play the 2nd fret of the 4th string with your first finger. Then right underneath it on the same fret, place your 3rd finger, your 2nd finger, and then your 3rd finger. So 1, 2, 3, right in a row. It definitely requires tilting your hand back a bit to make all the fingers fit. 2nd fret, 2nd fret, 2nd fret, then the high string open. That's a D chord. Now it's common to try this with a bar with your first finger, where you leave the high string open, or even placing your 2nd finger on the 2nd string, 2nd fret, and then barring just 2 notes with your index finger. So you have the 3-finger version, 2-finger version, or 1-finger version. That's a D chord. To play a D7 chord on the ukulele, it's common to play the 2nd fret of the 4th string, 3rd string open, then the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, high string open. 2, 0, 2, 0. 1st and 2nd finger can be used to play this, but often the 2nd and 3rd finger are also used to play the same notes. You could practice either way. Now if you're going to be moving from a D7, let's say, to a G chord, it would make sense to use 1 and 2. But if I'm going to go to, let's say, a G7 chord, using this finger makes sense, because then the fingers are right in line to go to the higher strings. Now another common way of playing a D7 is to place a bar chord, the first finger laying flat across the 2nd fret, and then add the 3rd fret of the high string. That's a common way to play a D7. Often, sometimes it's even barred with the 2nd finger and 3rd finger. So 2 ways of playing a D7, with the open strings or with the bar. They sound different, but it's actually the same set of notes. It's just a different ordering of the notes. In this case, we hear this high C on top. In this case, we hear the A on top. To play a D minor chord on the ukulele, it's very similar to F, but we add in the third finger. So first finger on the second string, first fret, second finger on the fourth string, second fret, third finger right beneath that, tuck it in, get it close to the fret wire on the third string, second fret. 2, 2, 1, 0, D minor. To play an E chord on the ukulele, take your first finger and place it on the first string, second fret, then your fourth finger on the second string, fourth fret, third finger on the third string, fourth fret. Just those notes. You can also add in the second finger on the fourth string on the fourth fret as well. So 4, 4, 4, 2. If you're strumming, holding the full E chord makes sense because you don't want to hit the fourth string open. It clashes with the chord. You definitely want to leave that out. So it takes a little bit of practice to get the third finger and the pinky to line up. You want to get right next to the fret wire. Really tuck that pinky underneath the third finger. Keep a nice arch in the fingers. Instead of the thumb being up high, bring it back down below the neck. So second finger, third, and fourth, all in the same fret. It's possible to bar the third finger and let it bend up on the high string. So 4, 4, 4, 2. It's tricky not to muffle that high string. You have to rotate your hand around so that the third finger isn't flat. It's what we call a hinge bar. It lifts off the string. Now another way of playing the E chord that's commonly done is first finger goes on the fourth string, first fret, second finger on the high string, second fret, second string open, then fourth finger on the fourth fret of the third string. 1, 4, 0, 2. You're doubling this note E here. That's another way of playing an E major chord. To play an E7 chord on the ukulele, place your first finger on the first fret of the fourth string, second finger on the second fret of the third string, leave the second string open, then play the first string second fret. 1, 2, 0, 2. E7. To play an E minor chord on the ukulele, take your first finger and place it on the second fret of the first string, second finger on the third fret of the second string, third finger on the fourth fret of the third string. So it's right in a diagonal. Quite easy to play. And make sure to keep a nice curvature in the fingers, keeping the thumb back down the middle of the neck. So it's 0, fourth fret, third, and second. E minor. It is possible to cover all four strings, and this sounds better with a low G tuning often. And in this case, you're going to use your third finger on the fourth string at the fourth fret, and then pinky tucks right underneath it. So you can either have the version with the open string, easy to play, or you can add in third finger, fourth, second, first. 4, 4, 3, 2. E minor. To play an F chord on the ukulele, place your first finger in the left hand on the second string, first fret, and second finger on the fourth string, second fret, allowing the third string and the high string to ring open. Now make sure your thumb isn't up too high and your fingers aren't flat because they'll muffle the high string. So bringing the thumb back, I usually keep it by the second finger in the middle of the neck. allow some space and clearance with the left hand so the notes can ring clearly. So 2nd fret, open string, 1st fret, and open string. F chord. To play an F7 chord on the ukulele, play your F chord with the 1st finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret, 2nd finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret, but add your 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. 2nd fret, 3rd, 1st, open. That's F7. To play an F minor chord on the ukulele, place your 1st finger on the 4th string, 1st fret, 3rd string open, then 2nd finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret. Imagine playing a D7 chord and moving it down 1 fret. That's the shape. Then add your 4th finger on the high string 3rd fret. 1, 0, 1, and then 3 on top. It's easier to use you could use your pinky to do that, but your 3rd finger, but the pinky's easier to reach the notes. Listen for the clarity. 1, 0, 1, 3. Then you have F minor. To play a G chord on the ukulele, place your 1st finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the 1st string on the 2nd fret, the same fret. So in order to do this, you tilt your hand back slightly, then 3rd finger plays on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. Open 4th, 2nd fret, 3rd fret, and 2nd fret. That's a G chord. Now, whenever you have to play 2 or more notes on the same fret, you tilt the hand back just slightly and make sure you have a nice arch with the fingers. Really listen for each note. If you get a muffled sound, make sure you're playing right by the fret wire and that your thumb is in a good position. I like to keep it right in front of the index finger and right in the middle of the neck. That's a G chord. To play a G7 chord on the ukulele, place your 1st finger on the 2nd string, 1st fret, 2nd finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, then 3rd finger on the high string on the 2nd fret. You have to tilt the hand back slightly in order to get these 2 fingers to line up and keep the fingers right next to the fret wire. So we get open, 2nd fret, 1st, 2nd. G7. To play a G minor chord on the ukulele, place your 1st finger on the 1st fret of the high string, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, 3rd finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. 0, 2, 3, 1. G minor. To play an A chord on the ukulele, place your 1st finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret, 2nd finger on the 4th string, 2nd fret. 2, 1, 0, 0. That's an A chord. To play an A minor chord on the ukulele, it's very easy. Take your 2nd finger and place it on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, then play the next 3 strings open. Now you could use any finger to this 1st finger. Be odd to use the 3rd finger or the pinky. Most commonly, the 2nd finger is used. Now make sure the 2nd finger is placed right next to the fret wire. Try to get a nice tone out of that note. And make sure that it's not too flat. Get a nice curve and arch in the fingers like this instead of like this. Keeping the thumb right behind the 2nd finger, about the middle of the neck. So you don't muffle the higher strings. And that's A minor. To play an A7 chord on the ukulele, place your 1st finger on the 3rd string, 1st fret. Then play open strings. That's A7. 0, 1, 0, 0. To play a B flat chord on the ukulele. It's one of the challenging chords to learn when you're first starting because it requires a partial bar. A bar is where you lay your first finger across the fret. And we're going to do this at the 1st fret. It could be across all 4 strings, 3 strings, or in this case, just 2 strings. So the top 2 strings covered with the index finger, keeping the thumb low and not leaning back here. Get very parallel. Swing your elbow in. Make sure that the high string is covered by rotating the hand around. 2nd finger goes on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. 3rd finger, especially at this angle, it's going to be easier to reach and keep it curved. It's going to play the 3rd fret of the 4th string. 3, 2, 1, 1. Now it's very common when first playing this to get muffled sounds. So start just getting these 2 notes with the bar. Get that comfortable, then add in the 2nd finger. Spend some time with that. Really listen to the notes clearly. Take it off the strings, place it back. See if you can consistently get a nice tone. Don't lean back or have your thumb up too high. Then add in that 3rd finger. With the reentrant or high G tuning, it's just doubling the note on the high string. You'll hear a difference if it's low G tuning. But notice how my hand is almost tilted this way more than this way, and that really helps getting the clarity of the notes. See how the angle is to the ukulele. Having the neck up high helps with this too. If the neck is here, it's a little harder to angle your hand forward, but having a nice 45-degree angle with the placement of the instrument helps this natural angle fall here. My hand is pretty straight and parallel to the floor here, but because of the angle of the neck, I'm getting that index finger up close to the fret wire. And you get a nice sounding B flat chord. To play a B minor chord, place your index finger as a bar across the top 3 strings of the 2nd fret. Then add your 3rd finger on the 4th string, 4th fret. So the numbers are 4, 2, 2, 2. Now you could cover all 4 strings with the index finger and it works fine. I often try to go for economy of motion and the least amount of strings as needed covered. So just covering 3 strings is fine for this. And that's B minor. To play a B7 chord on the ukulele, there are a few options. One is that you play the 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string, then 3rd finger, 2nd finger and 3rd finger right in a line. 3rd string, 3rd fret, 4th string, 4th fret. And it's like an E minor chord moved to the ceiling, 1 set of strings. 4, 3, 2, 0. If you bar that with the 1st finger, it's a B chord. A B7 requires the note A on the high string. Another way of playing this is lay your 1st finger flat across all the strings as a bar, then play the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. This is a movable shape, B flat 7, 1st fret, B7. Another way of playing a C7 at the 3rd fret, B7, 2nd fret. 2, 3, 2, 2. Good practice to get your bar chord ringing. You could first try to do, this is a B minor 7 chord, where you're just laying it flat across all strings. Then add in that 2nd finger, get it right next to the fret wire. See if you can get a nice sound. And there's B7.